Okay, we are going to look at dividing rational expressions, which is pretty much the same as dividing fractions. So if you're ever dividing a fraction, you want to flip the right fraction, which means flip the one on the right and it's also the correct fraction. And then multiply. So in this case, the right fraction is that guy. So we're going to flip that, and then we're multiplying. So it's really 9x over 2x to the fourth, which isn't changing, times, and I flipped 9 over 8, so it becomes 8 over 9. After you've flipped your right fraction, you just start canceling away like we were before. 9x cancels with the 9 here. The x cancels with the x to the fourth. I've got 3 x's left over. And then I'm also moving kind of over to the right. So I move from left to right and decide what to cancel. 8 cancels with 2. I'm left with a 1 here and a 4 here. So it looks like the only things that are left in the numerator is the 4. And then 1 times x cubed, which is just x cubed. So we're kind of canceling the same way we did when we were multiplying, just after we flipped the fraction. So we'll move on to some more involved ones. You guessed it. If it's not factored, you are factoring it. It looks like these are all factored, which is nice. So my first step is to flip this guy. So I'm going to take my original. I always like writing it just one more line because it starts getting messy if you're just going to flip it right next to the original problem. And we do not like messy. So I flip. And why don't I just write it in parentheses to know that I need n plus 10, the whole quantity here. So I move from left to right, just identifying if there's something in the numerator and the denominator. So like 4 cancels with 4. Then n plus 10. Is there an n plus 10 in the denominator that cancels? Yes. And then I look at 7. Is there anything in the denominator that's going to cancel with 7? No. So I'm good to go. And I get 7 over n plus 9. So these are kind of nice because they're the same as multiplying after you flip. Then the next one, we're going to have to do a little bit of factoring. So I'm looking at this guy. We can factor and flip. If you want to do them at the same time, that is okay. So I look at this guy first and see if I can factor. It looks like there's a GCF of 2. So it's 2 and then 5v minus 1. Here, in the denominator, it looks like I have a v in common and 4 is a common factor. So I'm going to pull out 4v. And I get 5v minus 1. Okay, that's going to be nice. And now I'm factoring and I'm flipping. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this guy as I factor. So now instead of having 4v minus 6 on the top, I'm going to factor 8v squared minus 12v. And I can pull out a 4v, and that's 2v minus 3. And then the numerator is now the denominator, so 4v minus 6, I got to factor that. It looks like there's a 2 that we have in common, and it's 2v minus 3. Oh, this is going to work out very nicely. I can see it. So I'm moving from left to right. What can I cancel? The 2 cancels with either the 4v or the 2. I like to just try and cancel completely if I can. 5v minus 1 cancels with 5v minus 1. And then as I move from left to right, 4v cancels with 4v. Wow, this is so exciting. And then 2v minus 3 cancels with 2v minus 3. This is what I live for right here. All of it canceled. What does that mean? All of these mean I was left with a 1 everywhere. And so it's just 1. What? Just, ugh. The perfect example. Okay. And that's it for our first video.